Hello everyone and welcome to another video and what is another episode of RG Tech News. This is the sort of mini-series where we talk about certain things that have been going on in the world of tech over the past week or so, stories that I found quite interesting. So I want to start off with Crysis Remastered. Now, I do fear that Crysis Remastered will mark the end of a meme, the Can It Run Crysis meme, because the system requirements for the remastered version of the game have just been announced, and I want to go through them. So the minimum system requirements for Crysis Remastered include an Intel Core i5-3430, a pretty old CPU. Now, as you know, minimum and recommended requirements don't always mean much. Sometimes they're quite accurate and sometimes they're way off. But, you know, Crysis, it's been out before. The developers, I'm sure, have had a lot of time to work on optimization and stuff like that. So I have a feeling that it will be able to run better on older hardware than the original game. To be honest, that will be something that I compare when the time comes. But I've been messing around with an i5-2500K as of recent, a slightly older chip than the 3450, and even that is still capable in some modern titles, so I don't think it's going to struggle too much in Crysis Remastered. And if the i5-3450 is anything to go by, well, this should be a fairly easy game to run, but, you know, I'm not going to count my chickens just yet. Alternatively, an AMD Ryzen 3, nothing specific is mentioned here, just an AMD Ryzen 3 along with 8 gigs of memory, 20 gigs of storage, and an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050 Ti or AMD Radeon 470. So again, it's a fairly modest lineup there, and apparently this should be good enough for 1080p. The minimum stated GPU memory is 4 gigabytes, and it says 4 gigs in 1080p, so I presume that means that the rest of the specifications should give you an okay gaming experience at that resolution, but we'll have to see. As far as the recommended system requirements go, well, again, they're not that beefy. We have an i5-7600K, which is a 4-core, 4-threaded chip, or a Ryzen 5. So, again, you know, there's a little more horsepower as far as the AMD side of things is concerned there. An AMD Ryzen 5 1600 is the weakest variant I can think of, perhaps the 3400G. Both of those are pretty capable when paired with a modern graphics card. 12 gigs of memory, which isn't a configuration that you really see that much anymore. Yeah, storage again 20 gigs, DX11 as the recommended, and an NVIDIA 1660 Ti or Radeon Vega 56 with 8 gigs of GPU memory. So this is where things may start to get a little more intensive. It might be similar to the original game, whereby the low settings do make the game look really, really bad, and then the high settings transform it completely. Of course, there are various new features being added to the game, like ray tracing, things like that, you know, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it compares to the original version, but believe me, we'll probably have a few videos on the topic, and the first port of call, I think, is going to be testing the 1050 Ti in both scenarios, because it's going to be interesting, to say the least, seeing just how well the remastered version does. I hope it gives a lot of people the chance who wouldn't usually be able to run the original game due to optimization issues, the actual chance to run it properly this time around. So yeah, maybe we'll see the reintroduction of the meme, or maybe the remastered edition will totally kill the meme off and Crysis Remastered will be one of the smoothest running games of 2020. I could do with a game that runs smoothly after messing around with Flight Simulator for the past couple of weeks. So another story I want to talk about today is the launch of the RTX 3000 series cards. Now, normally I wouldn't talk about cards like that because they're not what I would consider budget. I mean, the 3070 is coming in at about £469 here in the UK, you know, which is quite good in terms of overall value for money, because NVIDIA have promised that it offers better performance than a 2080 Ti. In what regard? I'm not sure yet. You know, is it going to be better at ray tracing, but in normal performance, you know, not quite keep up? We'll have to wait and see, but the thing that I'm more concerned with, in a good way, that I've been keeping an eye on is the used market prices of the 20 series cards. You know, the 2060, the 2070, the 2080 and the 2080 Ti have really seen a hit. I was looking on eBay just the other day, in fact about an hour after the launch, or the announcement, sorry, of the 3000 cards, and there were about 50 new listings for the 2080 Ti at about £500–600, when just a couple of hours before these cards were still going for £800 or £900, so almost half off immediately due to the announcement of a new lineup. Now, that tells me one thing, this lineup is pretty massive, it's going to be very popular. I don't think you're going to be able to get your hands on one of these cards as soon as they launch. I think it's going to be a real struggle to actually find one as well. Yeah, I'm not sure how pre-orders are going to work, if Nvidia are going to do pre-orders for the card or what, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see just how well these cards are stocked, you know, not just online but on shelves as well in certain PC retailers. I sound very old-fashioned then, talking about, you know, brick and mortar PC retailers, but yeah. What I wanted to say though is, I don't think you should really rush into selling your 2080 Ti or 2070 or whatever, if you own one, in anticipation for the 3000 cards until the reviews are out, because, you know, I've certainly been in a situation before when I've sold something because I'm anticipating something else only to be disappointed. Now, I'm not going to say that the cards are going to be disappointing. I have a feeling they're going to meet and possibly exceed expectations. I think now is the time Nvidia really need to be competitive due to the launch of the next gen consoles as well. You know, I don't know how much the PS5 is yet, nobody does at the time of this particular video, but I think to sort of sway people away from buying those next generation consoles, these graphics cards really have to be a cut above, and I think they're going to be. It's going to be interesting to see what AMD come up with as well in terms of their big Navi. It's going to be some serious competition in terms of the PC hardware that we're going to see over the next year or two, I think. I still own the 1080 Ti. I plan to stick with it even throughout the 3000 series launch. You know, I said when I bought the Ti, the 1080 Ti, I would see how long it would last. Sorry, there's about 500 motorcycles just gone past outside. Yeah, the 1080 Ti I'll probably keep for a while. I want to see how long it lasts for as we move into the next generation of games. So ray tracing is probably going to be a big part of everything, and I can see myself having to upgrade sooner rather than later, especially when I need a card that's going to be able to perform well in modern titles so that I can bench other processors and stuff like that. You know, if I wasn't a hardware or a tech channel, then I probably wouldn't rush to upgrade my GPU all the time. I'd probably still have the 750 Ti or something like that. But yeah, wait and see how the reviews rate these cards. The 3070 is the one I'm most excited about at £469 here in the UK. But we're going to have to wait and see. Finally, I want to talk about The Witcher 3, one of my all-time favourite games. You know, it's one of those games I keep starting and I never seem to finish, but I'm actually about halfway through now, I think, on the PS4. The reason I have it on the PS4 is because I started playing it again when I was selling my personal computer parts, and by the time my new parts arrived, I had played so much of the game that I thought I really cannot be bothered to start again on the PC. I know I'm missing out on fancy graphical options and a higher frame rate, but you know, I started on the PS4 and I thought I might as well stick with it. The reason I talk about The Witcher 3 is because it is getting a re-release for next generation consoles, the PS5 and the new Xbox, and it's getting visually overhauled for the PC. Anyone who currently owns the game will be receiving a free upgrade as well, which honestly is fantastic news. So looks like I'll be able to upgrade my PS4 version to the PS5 version, or maybe I'll upgrade the PC version when it comes to it. Yeah, I can't wait to see what visual overhauls or upgrades CD Projekt Red make to the game, but I'm sure it's going to blow our minds. Anyway, that about does it for RG Tech News this week. It's a Saturday, I fancied doing something a little bit different. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Leave a comment talking about anything that you found interesting down below. regarding today's stories, especially the Crysis one. You know, do you think it's going to run on these new requirements? I'll be testing it. I'll be putting together a build based on the minimum requirements when the time comes, so we'll be able to see for sure. But yeah, leave a comment down below, leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, leave a dislike if you didn't, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next one.